Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is entitled Lawn Darts. And that might seem a little odd, but it actually has more to do with law enforcement contacts and searches and seizures. Now, ever since last week's blog, I've been getting a number of emails and a number of phone calls of people that are legitimately concerned about registering their AR-15s and the types of implications that that would have, allowing the state to potentially investigate them or even go inside of their homes. These are legitimate concerns. People have an absolute right to privacy. That right to privacy is obviously balanced against the needs of the state in protecting us against criminal activity. And most of us, most gun owners, are what I would like to call pathologically law-abiding citizens. We go out of our way and we engage in all sorts of intellectual contortions to be law-abiding. Either it's because we are generally positive members of society and we want to be law-abiding, or alternatively, we're just terrified of the inevitable conclusions of engaging in illegal activity. In any event, people will, are concerned and they want to understand what their rights as well as their obligations are during a law enforcement contact and not do anything that's potentially going to implicate them in additional crimes. And usually during this conversation, people will kind of put up their hands and they'll lean back and they'll say, you know what? At the end of the day, if a law enforcement officer comes inside of my house, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have nothing to hide. What should I be this concerned about? My response to that are lawn darts. Lawn darts were perfectly legal to purchase back in the 1980s. And if you grew up like I did in the 70s and 80s, it's almost a foregone conclusion that you at one point or another either owned lawn darts or went to somebody's house to go play for a backyard party or something and had access to lawn darts. They were sold at Kmart and Walmart and Target and places like that. And basically they were kind of the equivalent to horseshoes, except that the dart that you would throw into the circle, realistically speaking, had the capacity of going about 150 yards. Anyways, they were incredibly dangerous, and I think intuitively we knew they were dangerous back then. But they subsequently became illegal to purchase or to possess. Now, there wasn't a nationwide memo that went out to all purchasers of lawn darts explaining that they had 30 days to destroy these things. The reality is that most people have lives that don't exactly revolve around the purchase of lawn darts. And as a result, I'm sure that if you go into homes across the country and you go into people's garages, you will find boxes from the 1980s that contain lawn darts. And the thing is, these people absolutely are convinced that they're law-abiding citizens. But if those lawn darts were in what we call plain view, and a law enforcement officer, pursuant to a search on an unrelated matter, were to see these lawn darts, the individual that's the subject of the investigative order could theoretically be implicated in a secondary crime. There's other things that you may be guilty of, from expired prescription medications, all the way down to code enforcement violations. So there's, even though we think of ourselves as productive members of society, as law-abiding citizens, we might actually be running afoul of the law. Now, in order to make sure that people are able to function properly and understand their rights as well as their obligations vis-a-vis law enforcement, one of our instructors, Lieutenant Rich Nelson, he came to me and said, I really want to put on a class called What to Do When Stopped by Law Enforcement. Basically, it's really intended primarily for CCW holders, but it's to outline the things that you should do, the tips, the things that you should expect, sort of a best practices. And it's not relegated exclusively to car stops. It also potentially would implicate things like searches and seizures and investigative analysis and things like that. Anyways, it's in the blog. I encourage you to read the blog, sign up for the class, and, as always, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, and above all else, stay vigilant. Until next week, thank you for having coffee with me, and I look forward to seeing you again.